morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone around the world. I am Paul Sisler. This is In the Moment. How is everyone doing today? I'm doing fantastic. I hope the same for you. Today, we have Shadow Fox and Lee Two Hawks on the flow, and we are going to be talking about darkness to light, traversing troubled waters. Hello, hello, hello.
Well, hello, greetings. Hello, everyone. Oh, I heard how you're doing. You're doing fantastic.
Yes, I am.
All right. You know,
I'm
I
just doing so.
yeah, he's mildewing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's mildewing.
Mildewing.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I kind of just like to, break into this a little bit because, I definitely very aware of patterning, and there's been quite a few things that have been happening in the last couple weeks. And I'm sure there are some people that are tuned into it and going, oh yes, and others may not be aware of it, but they may be being triggered. So this is one of the reasons why we're doing this show, and it's also being tied into the last couple of shows that we had done. But before I begin, I'd really like to read this. It's a Chinese proverb, okay, and the reason being is because of how we're going to be presenting stuff today. Um, and so the Chinese proverb goes like this: If there is light in the soul, there will be beauty in the person. If there is beauty in the person, there will be harmony in the house. If there is harmony in the house, there will be order in the nation. If there is order in the nation, there will be peace in the world. And so many people have been being triggered, and um, there may not be a whole lot of happy campers out there. Um, and so, with that, for the briefest of moments, Lee Two Hawks, would you like to
Why, sure, I'd love to take over this show, baby.
go for it? I'm out of here. Bye, guys.
Okay. Now, incidentally, and we didn't talk about this, but I also have a short Zen story. And it goes like this. Two gentlemen were sitting together. Zen master was one, and the student was the other. Zen master was making tea, and he started pouring the student's cup full of tea and kept it flowing and overflowing until the student said, "Whoa, whoa, what are you doing?" And the Zen master said, "You are full of preconceived ideas and opinions. To learn, you must empty your cup." So I find that very profound because we're talking about traversing troubled waters, which is overflowing the cups of emotionality, of mental stress, those things. Let's describe a little bit of what we mean by troubled waters. It could be a cultural conflict you have. It could be brothers, sisters, family that you're fighting with or somewhere in distress with. It could be a disease that's causing you great disharmony. It could be,
Misunderstanding.
well, yeah, I'm getting there. I'm
Oh,
getting there.
okay.
Okay? Yeah. Misunderstandings and everything that combines what I describe troubled waters as is the inability to reach the highest point you can in consciousness, in spiritual will. Anything that steps in the path of that is a troubled water.
Also, troubled waters could also remain elusive as we are processing information of all of these things that Lee Two Hawks has just mentioned. And in some capacities, we can describe them as moving through a difficult growth period. Okay, because again, these, it could be perhaps a belief system gets triggered where um, a belief in ourselves or belief in whatever kind of might be a little bit altered or shifted or poked, right? Somebody may have hit some hot buttons. And these are the things that we're going to definitely be bringing forward because, again, people do have to be able to find their voice. And sometimes their voice keeps projecting these same things over and over again. Like, what has changed since the Middle Ages? And so, how can we address components that keep us stifled, that keep us within limited beliefs or anything within that arena? And so, these are some of the things that we're going to be discussing because, like I said, I watch and see patterning, and for the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, um, light workers, those who, whether they're healers or mediums or working with energy in any capacity, have been really being triggered. However, the light workers have been able really to kind of traverse some of this stuff in a healthy way. And what is allowing um, what's being allowed to happen is we're kind of taking these hits so that newbies, those who are coming into their awareness, those who are establishing a foundation, those who are, like overnight sensations and just going like, whoa, boy, now I see a little differently. So it's within that framework where you have a specific balance. And so everybody but everybody's getting hit. And again, when um, people are coming, whether through dream time, and this is again why we've been talking about dream time, whether it be dream time, through meditation, through anything, new awarenesses can come in. And as new awarenesses are coming in, it could stimulate belief systems and shatter them. And again, it's a very uncomfortable feeling. Um, this is why we say this journey of spirituality or journeying within, finding out about ourselves, shadow work, all of everything and every component you could possibly imagine. um, we're all, in a sense, working through it. We're traversing this. And so I'm going to turn it over to Lee Two Hawks because this is where, he really enjoys this. This is part of where his teachings really come in. So,
There was a long time ago when I was actually teaching with crowds of people, at least five anyhow. And my favorite phrase, because I myself had traversed many dark waters, my favorite phrase for myself, which I inflicted upon my students, was get over it. No teaching, no nothing. Just freaking get over it.
get a grip.
Get a grip. That's right. Move on. Let's not play on this. Let's not let it enter our mind. Let's not confront us and stop our forward path. Get over it. Now I've learned, much through her type of teaching, which is very soft and gentle and wonderful and
Not
beautiful.
always.
Well, yeah, I get that part. The not always. Anyhow,
It is the yin and the yang.
yeah, I think
Or the
we
yang
must
and the
we
yin.
must always recall that all negative energy is based on fear. Yes, and fear is a parasite. What do parasites do? They burrow in and they make mental illness, they make physical illness, they make emotional illness. So when we look at that and just consolidate everything that's happening to you into one term, fear, that's an approach that is viable in order to traverse dark waters. How do we do that? I don't know. How do we do that?
I have no clue. It's up to you. Go for it. We got a coin going here. Flip it, man.
Okay.
We can just ask Paul.
Yeah, there's a statement that says a limitation, which is what fear is. Troubled waters are limitations. Why? Because they obstruct our passage through life. They challenge us. And what I've learned to do with my challenges and what I've learned to do in working through troubled waters is to integrate it, not bury it, not make it in the subconscious, but to integrate it into my livingness. It's mine. I went through it. Nobody else, can take it. They can have it if they want it, but it is mine.
Yeah.
And so within that is the construct of I have a little bit of awareness that has opened a view for me, which is more spectacular than fear.
Can I just make one point?
One.
Just one.
One.
No, two.
Okay.
Can I
Okay,
make two?
two.
Okay, I can make two. I can make 2 points today. Okay. When we take a look and we're traversing this, right? We're in uncomfortable situations. Many times people will project a blame onto other people. Well, you did this or you said that, and you're making me look at this. And so therefore people can, place blame. Well, the idea is to refrain from that and to take a look at ourselves and go, well, wait a second. Yeah, I own this. These are my emotions. Somebody could have triggered me into having these emotions, yet I'm still allowing it. So therefore, there is no blame. And those people that have come into my life that have challenged me to no end, I mean, like, really, I mean, taking a big ass look, right? Yes, yes, he's one of them. Actually, if we can take a look to see that no matter how bad it gets, they are our greatest teacher. Whether it be we find solace in the idea that we're stronger than we are, or that challenged us because they cared so much about us that instead of us continually walking down the road with toilet paper on our heel, they say, hey, guess what? You have toilet paper on your heel. You may choose to take a look at it and remove it.
I have a question. Why are you using toilet paper to wipe your heel?
No. Or hanging out the back of your pants. I mean, if this is something that you would like to present to the world, toilet paper on your heel, go for it. But, it takes courage for someone to come forward and say, hey, guess what? You got toilet paper hanging on your heel or out the back of your pants. It can feel uncomfortable for those individuals. And again, there's people that just absolutely love to spot every single fault that anybody ever has in the entire world, and they, kind of get off on it. Well, then, you got to kind of draw a line somewhere, right? But if we can perhaps step into a viewpoint that they are offering a compassionate way to address something a little differently, because again, this is a double-edged sword. I will always, always state that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did I make 3 points?
You made 3 points. No, I'm so discordant now.
I just took that
I'm
one.
gonna cry.
Well, see, is it all my fault?
Yeah.
It's like we tease each other every once in a while. I'll say, okay, what did you do with my cup?
Uh-huh.
See,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, like what was he doing with my cup?
What are you doing on the pot when I'm shaving? What is this?
So when you take a look at things, it's like we can laugh at it. We can have fun and enjoy each other. Because I was the one that left my cup somewhere. He had nothing to do with it, right? But again, it's little things that give us these gentle reminders that we're in this journey together.
So this is why I've always been an individualist. I've had to claw my way up by myself without help. Well, I had help because I was fed, clothed, and had a roof over my head, so that I give gratitude for. Yes. What I mean so far as my interior structure goes, it was mine to do. And I hope I've made the correct choices. Anyhow, I'd like to present some ideas of a person who, even though there are troubled waters, is able to move them with the flow, to move with the flow of the troubled waters. Rather than being a rock that everything has to go around, it's actually the water that flows and transitions on down the way. So just let me give a few attributes, if I may call them those, okay? Poise. What is poise? Poise is acceptance of whatever comes your way and does not move you from your spot, does not change your integrity, does not change your specific honor. in any way. So that's poise. Self-control, very important. What do I mean by self-control? There's self-control of the emotions, critical. There's self-control of words, actions, and deeds, critical. There's self-control of the mental apparatus, self-control of the physical apparatus, self-control of the etheric apparatus. These things are critical. How do we do that? We create the desire to do so. And in that desire, things come your way because you're intending it. So you're drawing that energy to you. This is how we can do you. And this person will come by and help you, or this group of people will come by and assist you. That type of thing. It works that way. All right. Cheerful heart. Always good to have. Always good to have a cheerful heart. Damn it, I've never had it. But
Me neither.
okay. An unattached mind. What that means, what the unattached mind is, it does not attach itself to other people's dramas and traumas. Yes, you can counsel. Yes, you can show compassion towards that person, but do not attach yourself to their difficulties. Be the observer. Stand back, because you're better able when you do that. Better able to give better counseling.
Yes, and very quickly, this is that the same premise when I speak about not jumping in someone else's bucket, right? And we've talked about it before, and in case someone hasn't heard it, how do you keep a lobster in a bucket? You add another one. As one starts to crawl out, the other one will pull it down. So the idea is to, be on the outside of the bucket and not jump in to that drama and trauma. And again, there's that form of detachment, and perhaps you could, maybe.
Well, detachment is, there's non-attachment and detaching. They're both very similar. It just simply means I step away from my. It's like having one foot in this world, one foot in a world that gives a greater tendency towards higher consciousness.
Mhm.
And so we step into that world in order to review what is happening in this physical form, and are able to find the essence of the difficulty. Always look for essence. Why do I feel this way?
Mhm.
Why am I troubled? My mother's dying in the hospital. I have a brother who was shot to death. Troubled waters. These are horrible things. But it doesn't mean that it has to end your perception of life and your livingness and your beauty and your very shining self.
Radiance.
Okay, radiance. That's what it's like. Shining
Radiance.
radiance. Yes, okay. All right, I got just a few more. Right action. What is right action? Harmlessness. Primarily, right action is harmlessness. You do not do things like screaming and yelling at a person, or guys in your back end with a car and creeping up on your bumper and you're swearing at them. You're still creating waves in the air, in the etheric realm, that are discordant, and just adds to all the other discordant things there until they become a grouping of despair. And a lot of people tap into that who are despairing, and it only increases that. So just a little side there. Okay. Practice humility. Sometimes tough things. You can be over humility, yes.
Yeah.
Too much humility. All right. So there's a balance there. When do you exercise it, and when do you assert yourself? There's a good point to be made there. Compassion. Compassion is that willingness to reach out that hand with that detachment, reach out that hand and say, may I assist? May I help you on your journey? And sometimes people in my life have stopped by in some of my terrible moments and cleared the way for me to wake up.
And life presents itself each and every day. And there's always moments when things happen or something comes to your attention that you may have the best intentions of doing this, and this. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a second. Oh, let's back up a minute, because something here truly has to be addressed in order to clear clear that pathway, clear those waters, or unruffle feathers, or maybe ruffle feathers, in order so that we can come back to those calm waters. And again, when we're looking at waters in any capacity, it is always that emotional component that is mingled, commingled, and intertwined together. And so when Lee Two Hawks was speaking that part about compassion, again, compassion can be that position when we recognize and we say, hey, guess what? You got toilet paper on your foot. So, you know, just recognize that sometimes information or teaching or an awareness really has to come to the forefront and literally be voiced. Go ahead.
One of the ways I found to work with troubled waters, do you understand that statement? Work with. Not allow it to consume me, not to bury myself in its darkness,
Or stay there.
but to work with.
Yep.
Whatever cognizance I may have at that time. And they're even dark thoughts because they're troubled waters.
Yeah.
But the best way to get through troubled waters is not to swim the damn shit. It's as simple as that. Don't dive into it. Stand back from it. We will get through this. This too shall end, which is one of the phrases I used for the longest time. This too shall end.
Yeah.
And it does.
It does.
And you move on from that point. You have the scars, and you also, by gosh, have the experience.
Yep.
Which is inexhaustible. The experience, no matter if it's in the dark waters or the clarity of the heavens, is still experience. And they are what make us the human beings we are. Okay, I just got a few more. May I?
You keep going.
Oh,
You're
okay,
doing it.
okay.
You got an hour.
Okay. Oh, do I? Okay. Well, folks, let me be inclusive. All right. A lot of people, maybe on a status thing, say, oh, I'm not going to associate with those people. Because, gosh. So there's that type of thing.
Yeah, there is.
The more inclusive we can, either skin color or thought or religion or culture or any of those things that tend to separate us, is important to be inclusive and say, I will listen to you and I hope you listen to me. And that's called a discourse. And things can work out from that point. So the more you can bring others in that may be even diametrically opposed to your beliefs, you still have the opportunity of listening. And maybe there's just something, one little piece that has knowledge for you that you didn't have before.
Yep.
And the same thing goes for what you say to them.
Yes.
You may have given them an insight that they were incapable of to begin with. Okay, let's see. Where are we at? Attain wisdom. Okay, what is wisdom? Wisdom is the operative field of knowledge. You have knowledge, but if it just sits in your brain, doesn't go anywhere, it's useless. If you use that knowledge towards right action, which means harmlessness, remember, okay?
Harmony.
Harmlessness,
Harmlessness.
and we'll use her word harmony too. Okay,
Yeah,
so
too.
it's so important. Okay.
Yes.
Got to word it. Harmony.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 Well, that's pretty much it for me. There's a few other things. I just remembered that the unmanifest created the manifest.
Oh, yes. And so those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions, if there's something that you're experiencing that you do not like or feel uncomfortable with, or you're trying to change, well, then why would you focus on it? Because then you're just solidifying it and you're creating it, even anchoring it, which brings about more discord in order to release it.
Well, there we come into habits of thought.
Yes, there you go.
If you had a lifetime of thinking in a particular pattern, and
Yes.
dark things keep coming to you, and dark things keep coming, and
Constantly repeating the story
constantly
over
repeat.
and over.
That's a habitual thought pattern that has an energy of its own, and it's all about energy.
Yep.
We all know that, okay? It has an energy of own that attracts its sameness. So if you carry these thoughts and have done it for eons, then it's just going to keep coming to you. The trick is to say no more.
Yep.
what's that word we used to use? Cancel, cancel, cancel.
Cancel, delete, erase. And again, these are just little, let's just say, little hacks, right? That we can implement, especially when something's really bugging us. If there's something that is bugging us that we're feeling uncomfortable with, these are things like, yeah, you get into that loop, right? Well, this person did that, rah, 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 I can't believe, and da, 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 or all of these little things that try to unseat us are the troubled waters. You know, have you ever thought if you're in troubled waters, just sit on the bank and put your feet in the water and let the water, just recognize what's going on, looking at, the larger picture and how, when we're in this, sometimes it's difficult when you're really in the muck and the mire. Absolutely. It can be difficult. And this is why we can always, extend that hand, throw out that life preserver to somebody, right? And again, we all take turns. We all will be in one capacity, the villain, the victim, and the victor. So, it just depends on where, which one of those would you like to choose as you're working through this. So when things present themselves, sometimes it's great if you can just take a back seat for a second, like an observer. Step up on the banks, man. That water's still going to be going. you know. So
Okay, I'm going to make a statement. Maybe Paul has some questions. These people are that are
Yeah,
coming up, and
yeah.
we can answer those. Just let me make this because I'll forget it. I have a very short memory. Who are you? Oh, anyhow, uh, one of the ways in recognizing way back when I discovered water is comparable or used as the attribute of emotions, and so a decade of bad things happening. I got tired of it. I said no more. So what I did is I set my dream time up to I will dive into the water and I will learn to breathe underwater. And I went through that for about 6 months. And I got so I could just dive into the water. I just sit on the bottom of the pond or lake or even the ocean and just be calm and just be calm and just be calm. And I could breathe. I had no fear of drowning, none whatever.
did 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 you like were sharks
Yeah,
circling
yeah,
over
oh,
and
absolutely.
and how about those little jellyfish?
Sharks and jellyfish were obstacles, right? If you don't fear obstacles, they're not going to interfere with you.
Or they could be
Did you
seen.
get that?
Or yes, I did.
Fear, interfere?
Yes,
Okay.
fear, interfere, and could they not also be considered that of grace and beauty?
They could be both. It depends on how you look at it. Yes.
Oh my!
I mean,
Oh
a shark
my!
is very svelte. Oh, you got that word svelte? SVELTE. Okay. It's very svelte as it moves through the water. It's very gracious. It's just the movement is perfect. Jellyfish. How the heck do they stay up? How do they float?
Well, I can hear Diana singing in the background.
Okay. All right.
Lions and tigers and bears.
Do we have
Oh
some
my!
questions then, or what's going on?
Yeah, Paul. Are there?
Oh, yes. Let's go back up. We had Cato who stated, "This too shall end. So, so powerful. Thank you for reminding me."
Ah, yes.
Churchy came on and said, "Much love, much love, much love." Diana, my lesson this morning is a repeat one for myself. Love of another should not feel like a disruption of my peace. Big lesson.
Ah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see, what else do we have here? That's about it right now as far as any kind of questions or anything.
Sometimes
Oh,
we
hold on. We got Cato. We got Cato. She
okay,
just put the big one up here. The
okay.
villain, the victim, and the victor, our choice. I remember when Shadow Fox first shared this perspective in a space. I'm more conscious now of victim mentality.
Aha.
And then we just got the writing community chat show up. Hello, Paul. thank you for participating. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I love the writing community.
Okay, anyhow, so a lot of people will say to themselves, I have wasted my life. I have wasted time. I feel like I'm such a waste. My life has meant nothing. Here's a point I'd like to make. How can you have waste when there's an unlimited supply through the universe? It's impossible. Everything is there for you. All you got to do is reach out and take it. Make the brain move and the mind bring it forth. Someday I'll explain to you the difference between the mind and the brain, but that's not on this program. So, um,
Yeah, actually, you left it out in the kitchen.
You know,
I
I
still
got
know something. I don't know what it was.
I got a response
It
to
was
that,
one of
Lee.
my feelings.
I have a response to that, Lee, because there's been multitudes of points in my life where I have felt like I've just been a waste. I've wasted my time, and I would say here in the last few decades, especially most recently in the last few weeks, um, a lot of the things that I've gone through in my life have taught me so many things and have given me a perspective on things that I can now put it all to use. So things that I thought were a waste were actually lessons that I learned something from that I can now share. In fact, I had a conversation today where part of my past life experiences actually helped someone else to make a decision in their life with an event that was going on, the troubled waters that they had. I was actually able to help them traverse those troubled waters.
Wow.
That's
Isn't
great.
that a great feeling, though?
Great feeling.
Yes.
I
Yes.
mean, it really is. Just to be able, even if it just for the briefest of moments gives another person that respite, like, wow, thank you. I was able to bounce this off you, and I can take away something and then apply it or integrate it within my life or create a brand new belief system, whether it be of self or recognizing the decision, like for stepping away from somebody, letting things, letting people go. People come in and they come out of our lives, just like the oceans, the tides, and the rhythms.
Yes.
So yeah, I know. See, I know, but this is like a magnet. He can only go so far, and then we kind of like,
what I what I what I would wish for everybody as we learn to have a certain loyalty, not only to our self development, but to the unity of everyone, to recognize that we are a reflection of each other in some manner or form. How do you recognize pain in another person unless you have pain yourself? How do you recognize disloyalty or anger or jealousy unless you yourself, not that you express it, but you recognize it because somehow it is manifest within your brain pan or emotional outward. And so I think it's important to remember that we are each to the other a brother and a sister, a mother and a father. And we are all indebted to each other for being on this earth at this time.
mhm.
This is a great time to be alive. A
Church,
fantastic.
you just stated, I helped someone recently. They messaged me last night to thank me. They didn't know how to navigate a situation and they were trying to make a choice based on how to make the other person feel good.
Ah. Oh, my. See, this is where, we're looking at how sometimes we can perceive this world as cruel, unrelenting, constant, like we're just constantly being pummeled, right? And then yet, at the same time, we get those little respites, and it's like we are able to step into a position, to help someone we care about. Honestly, again, it's if who is it, Churchy? If Churchy had never had the experience of bringing forth what those choices were, it's drawn sometimes from experience. and
Yes.
and so that wasn't jumping in someone else's bucket. That was being able to see the person in that bucket and being outside of it and saying, hey, let me help you out, right? We're creating the space, we're going to help you out. Two minds came together, or maybe three minds, but the point is that she was able to come forward to be able to lend assistance. And really, that's all, anybody could ever really ask of anybody. Instead of tearing each other down, help, give them the tools for them to build themselves. This is that part of empowerment. This is that part of a greater awareness. And oh my goodness, it's like how many just in this conversation. I mean, Paul, you were able to assist someone. Um, Churchy was able to assist someone. You know, both Lee Tuox and I for the last 4 days. Whether it be on telephones or this or that. Um, wow. I'm just absolutely, you know, I, I say I'm amazed. Um, I am, but I'm not.
I was amazed at one time and I couldn't find my way out. Amazed. Never mind. Okay.
Diana says so many people are coming up with problems and emotional issues lately. I wake up and hang out a shingle very quickly these days. You know, the
Mhm.
thing about life itself, we all step in buckets. Okay. We all have stepped in buckets. And there's many different types of buckets. There's metal buckets, there's plastic buckets, there's big buckets, small buckets.
There's
Um,
buckets with holes in them too.
yes, and some buckets it's easy to get out of, other ones a lot more difficult. The good thing about stepping in so many buckets, and trust me, I have stepped in a lot of buckets, okay? A lot of buckets, but I know how to get out of every single one of them.
Yep.
So if you've stepped in
Hey,
a bucket,
hey,
let me know.
hey, Paul, have you ever had one foot in one bucket, one foot in the other, and then had to do a three-legged race? Sorry, guys.
I think the critical thing, which everybody I sense knows, but it bears repeating, when you do help somebody, it's not like a Christmas card you received. Oh God, and now I got to send one to them. Expect no reward. Expect no return.
Yeah.
What you did for another, you did out of love.
And what
And
you've done for
maybe it
one,
comes
you've done
back.
for yourself.
Maybe it comes back to you, or maybe it doesn't. But the important thing is simply to do it because it needs to be done.
Yeah.
Speak.
Yep. You
Wow.
know,
Big.
I was taught a lesson a long time ago by my dad, and he'd always tell me never loan out what you're willing to lose. Don't loan anything out unless you're willing to lose it. And he said, when it comes to loaning money, he says, never loan money, give it.
Give it.
Okay. Because when you loan somebody money, now that's something else that they got to pay back. You're not helping them. You're just making things harder for them. You might think that you're helping them by getting them out of a situation right now, but now they owe you and now you're just adding to it. He goes, if you're actually going to help somebody, help them,
Yes.
and I don't loan money, but I have given money to help
Yes.
people, and in doing so, there's been times where I've needed help. And guess what? It's been there for me, you
Mhm.
know? So, again, these are things, the little life lessons that we learn along the way that, again, help us traverse the troubled waters.
All right. One thing which is a little offbeat from the topic, but it's not because it's right in the middle of it. And that is from what Shadow Fox and I see is often the etheric form, which comes across as color and sound. So if people can get past the solid outline, this physical form, and realize that we are a wave of color and sound, every individual have their own sound and their own coloration according to what they think, how they have lived, what their actions are, what their thoughts are. That's what creates the color and sound of you.
Yeah.
That's how the people above us recognize us, by our color. They don't recognize our form necessarily. They recognize our color. And so as we work towards this seamless garment of color and sound, just let us recall that a planet is a meeting place for stars to reflect on their dreams. And then move on. And we're on a planet, and we're part of this planet. We're integral to that. And there we go, that term integrated. What is unity but integration? Exactly.
Yes.
And it's also not only one with the other, it is us with the planet. We have to find that field of energy that we can walk into and know that we are part of a larger picture.
Yes. And when you do, it feels wonderful.
It
It,
does.
it does. There really is the feeling. I think that the language in and of itself falls far, far short of being able to express. And it just does. Just does. It's like there are no words for expression sometimes. Are there any questions? I don't have my glasses on. I see
I can't
this.
see it either.
I know.
Hello.
Hello. Hang on a second. Wait a minute.
I'm,
Okay.
we get a lot of compliments and hellos and stuff like that, which is great. I love it. I love it. I mean, like Diana, amen, Paul, yes, you know. But if you have questions for us, if you want to ask something, if you have things that you're going through right now, or you have, just you think that you're in troubled waters, hey, throw a question up there for us and all that. Maybe one of us might have something that we can associate with, and be able to help with that.
Just listen to Simon and Garfunkel.
And of course
Across troubled
of
waters.
course we can always just kick the bucket. Bad joke, sorry guys. But and this is the point. You know, as we say, um, finding out things about ourselves and how we interact in the world and how we interact with each other. Sometimes really can be that double-edged sword, man. It can cut us deep, right? But it doesn't mean that we can't have fun with it. It doesn't mean that we can't create that humor where it really doesn't cause harm, right? These little, the little nuances, these little things like, when I said that Lee Two Hawk stepped on my one last feeling and he left it out in the kitchen. I mean, what? Because he says, go brush your hair? I mean, come on. So these are those things that, we, take a look at ourselves and we can find the humor if we look. Sometimes during these troubled times, finding the humor is very difficult. But humor, just like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder. And so, as long as the humor truly does not cause, harm, you're not laughing because somebody else slipped on a banana peel, for instance. The idea is that humor can create healing. It can diffuse and alter and change negative vibrations in a room in an instant. In an instant, and I've done it in spaces. I've done it, especially when say there's some real heavy content that's coming forward. Someone may be, really in troubled waters, like someone is, um, really struggling with something. And again, it's not to create humor to cause pain or highlight or make fun of someone, but there is humor that can be used to heal. And again, that brief moment of laughter allows information to really kind of take its place, right? And so this is why when Lee Two Hawks and I, speak or present, we kind of try, hey, We call it as it is. I mean, I make more mistakes than I ever get right, and that's like I'm up front, and that's like as authentic as you're gonna get. I
I think you're right about 4 years ago.
that once, just once, you
I have
know.
I have a question here. What about mindset when going through creator burned out? And I believe that writing community is coming from a writer's perspective on this.
Yes.
Or
Okay.
when you're feeling up against it in life when things aren't really as bad as you feel. I would say I'm gonna since this is a writer, I'm gonna go first. Um,
Go for it.
I think that this is more of, first of all, the fact that you're bringing it up means you recognize it. And if you have recognition of it, then you've already told yourself that life feels like it's just pulling me down. So then, well, pull yourself back up. I mean, and here, and I don't mean it in a mean way, I mean it in this aspect. You're obviously needing something to bring some inspiration back to you. You're needing something that's going to bring some joy back to you because you feel like this pressure is pushing you down. Because I just went through this, as Shadow Fox and some of my friends know and all that. I just went through the first year anniversary of my wife who passed away in January, and I had to go through the holidays with all of this pressure just pushing me down. And I knew it was pushing me down. And, through conversation and my friends and stuff like that, I was able to pull myself back out of it and, kind of had an awakening of things that have brought new light and joy to me, you know? So sometimes you just got to kind of reach in and look for that beauty in life. And that's going to help you address that. Go ahead, Shadow Fox.
No,
I'm going to interject with just one little thing, because when people say life is the gift. What
Mhm.
screws it up is living.
there you go. Oh, oh my. Now, I would like to make a comment, and again, both Lee Two Hawks and I are authors, so we do write occasionally. Um, Not that anybody would know it right this moment, but we do. We do. It's getting there. Um, the one thing that I really like to point out, and this is something that in the established men, okay, as far as like going to school and learning this trade and writing, and you're going to be the best that you can, and you can tell a story, or you can do this. And when we're looking at that mindset where we have the creator burnout, or we get writer's block, or I don't know how many other different ways you would like to present this, because creators in and of themselves are like constantly under pressure to, perform, come up with something new, come up with this, come up with that. Well, sometimes it just think about the ocean, the movement of it. You have the high peaks and you have the low peaks, right? All right. So even with energy, we cannot constantly always be in the super high vibration all the time, right? All the time. And we shouldn't be all the way down here in the low all the time either. But somewhere we just kind of like float right along. So, what is wrong about taking a day off? Stepping back. I don't feel like writing today. If I don't feel like writing today, why would I ever in a million years sit down and actually write? Where would I get that motivation? What would drive me? Because what would be the turnout? It's kind of like if you're being forced to make dinner and you're miserable and you're like, you're gonna throw some stuff out on whatever, and the food that your family is going to digest, they're going to get ill from, because you've got all that nasty energy in there. So what makes anybody think that if they're not in the mood to create, how good is the product going to be? But 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 if you take a step back and maybe go see that movie, maybe go out and have dinner with someone you enjoy, maybe go to that picnic and that barbecue, guess what? You might just run into someone and start a conversation that, guess what, will give you that creative content for the next 6 months. But yet, if you were sitting right there at your computer, the ship would have just sailed right on by. So the idea is to be able to understand that mechanism, that flow, right? Flow of the ocean. So now you're up here, you feel like writing, then write to your heart's content. And this is where I definitely have a absolute different perception. Okay, yes, there's got to be dedication. You've got to be able to have some form of, a habit. But sometimes, I mean, even when we go to work every single day, why do they have sick days? Or why do they have a personal day? Why is it? Headspace day? Take a headspace day. Take a sick day. Take a vacation day. There is nothing in this entire universe that says that we've got to be this little machine that just starts puking out all this stuff all the time. Because then the resonance of what is being produced is going to be shown. So why not take
Exactly.
a day off? And then guess what? Then you've got gold. You've got those golden nuggets.
Okay, when we started this, I gave some what I called attributes: poise, self-control, cheerful heart, unattached mind, etc., etc. Guess what? That came directly out of the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita. That's where that came from. So that's hundreds of thousands of years old, possibly, and we have not gone very far since that time.
Yeah. And that's even old, and that even goes back even more than what is it, the Middle Ages? Again, what we're speaking about is what is changed since then. What can we do in this moment, in this time, to lend assistance to start that evolutionary process, whether it be through emotional maturity, uh, that the stoic philosophy of recognizing and understanding, and not, stepping forward with kindness and integrating um, different thought patterns. What if? What if? Do you know? I mean, it's like now's the time. It's We've been sleeping all this time and just allowing these gear shifts to go on and on as they have. Well, guess what? I'm a wrench and he's a screwdriver, and we've just been inserting these things all over the place to to stop that gear shift, to stop it, and restart it again in a more productive way. That's what
Exactly.
we've been doing.
All right, what the point is, we have to get out of the circle
Yep.
and go into the spiral.
Yes.
So each moment is an advancement up the ladder, so to speak,
Yes.
in that spiral, as opposed to meeting yourself on the other end
Constantly.
constantly.
Exactly. The other thing that I'm going to add on to that real quick and all that, when things aren't really as bad as you feel, the other aspect is maybe your body is saying, hey, you're burning too much energy on this. And maybe the body is saying, hey, I know things aren't that bad, but I need some attention and all that. I might need to go on some long walks, get some fresh air, and do things like that too. So your mind says, it's not really that bad, but your body's saying, hey, help me here. We had Diana that put up, I have a friend, I had to tell her that the problems brought to her doorstep can be left outside and not brought into her house.
Absolutely.
And we can use that metaphorically.
Yes.
The house being the self,
Yep.
being the interior self.
Yep.
Absolutely both in the physical, and yes, absolutely 100%.
We got Cato saying, thank you for that perspective regarding creation. I don't feel so bad about taking my time with creative endeavors. You should never feel bad about taking your time with creative endeavors. They develop as they develop, and sometimes when you try to force yourself, you're slowing yourself down, because when you try to force it, you're making it harder on yourself. So if you just kind of relax and let your mind go, something out there that you need is going to be like, oh, that would work. Oh, yes. Now I'm back into it. Oh, my.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that point And here's something else. If we are constantly on that go, driven all the time, we are missing the breath of Creator, because Creator will deliver everything in perfect timing. We are the ones that insinuate and say, "Oh, it's got to be done by this," and we're so, yeah. Here's the watch. It's time's a ticking. Well, guess what? The universe will always deliver in perfect timing, and this is that flow that we speak about, because I am going to borrow this from Diana before Diana ends up typing it in there. But do you know how you can get God or creator or Allah to laugh? Do it your way.
Diana just made a point. Twitter Spaces are acting up. Thank you, B Craven. Not only are Twitter Spaces acting up, Twitter itself is acting up. My show just went off, so I don't know if later the replay will be full or if it'll be blank or not. Don't know. Tweets aren't loading right now.
Okay.
Twitter. Uh, Elon is playing around right now, so we'll see what Elon comes up with here.
Okay.
Hopefully it's going to be something good, because he interrupted my show. I'm telling you.
Oh my, yeah, and again we have Journey Within at 3:30, so we're gonna hope that it's gonna be able to go, and we'll see how we'll see everything in perfect timing. And the thing is everyone, seriously, step into the flow. We hit the troubled waters. Guess what? This too shall pass. The water will. Um, Actually, the troubled waters can actually float us out.
And sometimes we have miracles, and let me state this very briefly.
Uh,
Miracles do not break the laws of nature.
Yep.
They actually are based on it.
on it. Yes.
Yes. And I wanted to add a little something too. Let's say that Twitter isn't up and running and your space is like delayed, or it just doesn't happen today. Maybe there's a reason that
Yes.
it's not supposed to happen, and the
Exactly.
universe is making it to where it doesn't cause Elon to play with Twitter today at this specific time, because it wasn't just meant to happen, because the topic is supposed to be said later, or not at all, or down the road. you
Yep.
know we don't know, but everything plays its role when it's supposed to play its role. And if you kind of look at things more in that aspect, I'm looking at things more in that aspect now,
Yeah.
that you just let things happen as they happen, and you just keep doing what you're supposed to be doing, and it's all going to work out. And eventually it does. Eventually it does. Maybe not the way you want it to work out,
Exactly.
but it's the way the universe wants it to work out.
And when we step into, just like your heart has that beautiful rhythm, right? Or as you're rocking a child, what do we do as we're rocking a child back and forth, or like this? It is that rhythm, and it can be soothing. And so, again, step into the rhythm, step into the flow of all of that creation. And when we do, we can hear, we can sense, we can feel creators, you know, impulsing us in different ways. And when I'm using the word creator, I am also utilizing the influence of laws. They will always be impulsing us, always. And so the moment we step into it, the moment we are in the flow, the moment many things can be revealed to us. And again, I hope that people tuning in and listening will be able to definitely take something um, from this today. And I know Cato's gonna, like, rah rah, we got a headspace today.
Yes.
And by the way,
Hey,
Cato's gonna
space
be coming
swag,
on.
love it. We'll be using that.
Yes, and by the way, just to give a little heads up, I believe it is March 1st that Cato will be coming on the show here. And oh yeah, heads up, we're just planting the seed here. There'll be more coming.
Just remember that to receive a cosmic impress, you have to be prepared. you have to prepare yourself. Otherwise, they would just skip right by you.
Yeah. Diana says spirit UN versus doing for some reason. Elon can't stop spirit. Love will roll out. It's a
It's
tidal
a
wave
sun
that cannot
flare.
be
It's
contained
a
by
sun
a dam.
flare. No, it's a sun flare.
Stop. Go ahead. Say that again. He just talked right over you, Paul. Can you
What do you
please-
do?
I always do that. But that was
Sometimes people don't recognize Lee. Sometimes people don't recognize what they do and say. Oh, anyway, spirit UN versus doing for some reason. Elon can't stop spirit. Love will roll out. It's a tidal wave that cannot be contained by a dam.
yeah. Ooh.
So true,
my. And I
Diana.
bet you she means it.
March 1st. Yes. All right, everybody. Excellent show. We traversed some troubled waters, darkness to light. Remember, everyone, stay out of the buckets, step into the flow, journey well, be kind, be happy, may good things come your way.
Uh-huh.
Oh.